Here we go then. The final of Players Championship 5 features that man, the history maker,
25.
Brendan Dolan, looking to add to his growing tally of titles.
Outside,
and
so Brendan's won the...
take that roll of honour to 8 up against the bully boy Michael Smith. Contrasts in style between the pair of them, and it all makes for a very, very intriguing final, but one of them has been in absolutely sensational form. It's been blistering stuff
59.
from Brendan Dolan, hasn't it, Paul Nicholson?
Yes, it has, and it's great to see. And there's been a bit of chatter on social media in the last 30-40 minutes about how open these events are now. And you have to say, there weren't a great deal of people thinking that Dolan was going to be the best player of the day.
180.
But he's at it again in the final. And Michael Smith is going to have to be prime in this one if he's going to win because
96.
of the stats of Dolan today.
Yeah, that is his 10th 180. One of the few stats in which he is worse off than his opponent in this final for the afternoon, but he has a tournament average of 103.34. And we were just going through the match-by-match averages there, Paul, and it seems
55.
that 2 of his performances have produced personal best averages.
That's true. The first average from today of 111 against Jason Lowe was his best average ever.
66.
His previous best of 107 was then betted again when he played Scott Mitchell in the quarterfinals. It's quite astonishing what he's done today. Something has definitely clicked.
Dozen darts thrown in this opening leg. Dolan looking for double 16.
Game shot.
A very clinical finish, and maybe that's what has clicked for Brendan Dolan, because when that is on the end of his arm, that's when he's in title winning form.
190.
Absolutely correct. And we're talking about someone who has got quite a few titles in the bank. I think Brendan Dolan is starting to feel very comfortable, Murph, playing faster. It may have taken a bit of time to bed itself into his normal game, but now that he is quicker and playing this well, you get the feeling that Brendan Dolan is here to stay once more, which is terrific because he is one of the nicest guys out there.
Smith himself has a dozen PDC titles to his name,
97,
including the Shanghai Darts Masters, his only televised glory, a World Series stage event, still waiting 96. For a real biggie, Michael Smith. And I think he will feel like he's a man on a mission, really. He did pick up back-to-back titles at the Winter Series last year, but then had a very disappointing return at the World Championship.
And that ultimately cost him his Premier League spot, because he was defending a big chunk of change there, 200,000.
60.
And he lost 185,000 of that, so that's cost him his place in the Premier League. And I think that's going to hurt him, because he does belong in the Premier League in his own mind, and I think he belongs there too. But other people have found 97. Their spot. And Michael Smith is looking at a spot on the treble 19 here. Can't find it with either
86.
darts 1 or 2, and just has to hope that Dolan is not accurate on this shot.
Double.
72.
Well, the route surprised me. I think it did you as well, Paul.
Yeah, I thought he'd go 19s because, like you mentioned already in the final, he's so good at double 16, but we know how good Michael Smith is on tops usually. He did miss it a few times against Alan Suter in the semis, but ultimately he hit enough of them to get through. The Shanghai 18s route for that 108 is a bit old school. You don't see it too often these days.
59.
Brendan Dolan at the World Championship. It was the first time, really, that he spoke about the fact that he's decided to speed himself up, and that's certainly evident
84.
here. And I'm not sure in this particular match whether it might play into the hands of his opponent, because I thought, until I kind of remembered that Dolan had sped up, that this would be an awful match for Michael Smith to have to try and play in.
I think now that Brendan is happy with the pace he's playing, people are going to have to take him seriously.
137.
Previously, he was so hard to beat because he was good and slow. Now, forget about the slow thing. They're going to have to beat him very, very, very difficult way if he's going to play like this as a faster player.
95.
I'll tell you what, you talk about a contrast in styles. That's a contrast that's coming closer together, but a contrast in defeats at the World Championship, because
60.
Michael Smith had that disappointing early exit at the hands of Jason Lowe. Brendan Dolan, if there was ever a sign that he might be getting back to his best, or, as we've seen today, even better, it was that defeat surely to Gerwyn Price at Ali Pali.
Well, they were locked in the last set of that match on exactly the same points in the last leg of the contest.
60.
And it was only because Price had the darts. That was the only thing that separated him from getting through that round and not the world champion elect.
To regain his lead here.
Game shot.
And there it is. Just lifted it above the marker. There you see the angle, that was what he was seeing, and he executed it expertly.
When Brendan Dolan has got a dart on the outside wire of
140.
888, and he's got one dart left in hand, there's probably nobody better in the world because of the way his darts sit. You can see when they hit the 20 that they just kink a little bit to the left.
100.
Smith has got problems with the way that Dolan is playing, and also with the way that he's playing, because he's only averaging 90 in this final so far. And throughout the course of today, he has not played as well as Dolan. This is looking more like a Dolan win than a Michael Smith win right here. That has to change if Michael Smith wants another title.
99.
As I mentioned, Dolan looking for ranking title number 8. This is his 18th final in PDC darts. Some haul.
58.
Yeah, not bad for someone who wasn't talked about as being, you know, one of the longevity players, the kings, the beatons, the painters, the players of that sort of
85.
era. Because, let's face it, Brendan Dolan is from that era. He's been playing a very long time. But when you've been winning titles
96.
10 years apart, I mean, let's face facts. You're a great talent. But he does owe a lot of the gratitude for his wins to his wife, because she's the one that gave him a bit of a kick up the patootie a couple of years ago when he said he was going to quit. And she said, not having any of that. And Michael Smith is having plenty of this.
90.
Oh, underside of the wire.
Well, he had plenty of it, but he didn't finish it off. And now Brendan Dolan has a meaty target in front of him. He can't take it out, so Smith will return for his trusted double 10.
58.
It is trusted. And here's why. Sometimes I just can't get used to watching Brendan Dolan so fast. It's like I'm watching him in times 16. I do like it, but I'm still getting used to it.
It certainly is. Very, very enjoyable, certainly. The way that he has been playing.
59.
You mentioned that early performance against Jason Lowe, 111.28, the average for Brendan in that one. He followed that up with wins against Jamie
59.
Hughes, Gerwyn Price, and then more three-figure averages in victories against Damon Heta and Scott Mitchell, in which he averaged almost 110, before seeing off Joe Cullen, who produced some blockbuster averages of his own today.
Yeah, quite an incredible lineup there. I mean, I was very fortunate to call in the game against Damon Heta, and it was a case of Heta being under so much pressure, leg on leg. He just couldn't handle Dolan the way he was playing. And I fear to think it wasn't on the streaming boards, but that game against Mitchell, it looked that good.
68.
It looked as good as that visit, Murph.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. The 168 setup. And Mitchell himself in that match, 106.79. Only managed 3 legs.
Welcome to the PDC, Scott. Losing with over a 35 per dart average.
94.
Well, that's Brendan Dolan for you right now. And today, more specifically.
Well, will today be Dolan's day?
60.
All we throw so far in the final. Double top will see that trend continue.
Game shot.
There it is.
Nothing but net. That was nowhere near the rim. He does have a slightly longer point, but when you hit the middle of the bed
140.
with the slim points that he's using, boy, it looks pretty. But we were talking about his previous form in 2021. It wasn't glittering in Bolton. I mean, he's playing well, but he wasn't getting wins.
Absolutely, yeah. The end of 2020 was certainly much better than the start of 2021.
93.
He managed to win just 2 matches over 4 days at the University of Bolton Stadium. He's managed to
97.
supersede that tally on day 1 here at the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes.
And Michael Smith is trying with all of his might
133.
to do what Joe Cullen did at the start of the last Super Series. Try and get another win either side of Christmas to try and add to his tally.
43.
Well, if you recall, at the Winter Series, he actually won the first 2 of 5 events.
Game shot.
Super stuff from Michael Smith. Paul Nicholson chuckles and shakes his head alongside me because that was different class, wasn't it?
I'm trying to figure out where he came up with that idea.
60.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that on a dartboard within the PDC system in all of my time here.
93.
That was ridiculous, Michael Smith. But at the same time, you are a genius.
I'm sure you did, Paul, but I'm not even going to pretend that I knew which double he needed at the end of that combination.
It's not even Dave Pallett doing this kind of thing. I mean, Dave Pallett was noted for doing
97.
silly finishes. But that was just showing off. And I love to see that. And it's just really intelligent.
96.
The speed of thought has always been something that Michael Smith, I don't think, gets enough credit for, actually. He's very quick to go to different cover shots at times, and in that situation, because he didn't need to go the bullseye route, to do something different without having to stem his rhythm.
Well, he's the creator of the 92 shot on the 112 checkout,
100.
where you block the 60 and you go for treble 18, double 19. He created that. He was not the second person to do that. He was the first. And now people are starting to do that more often because of his genius.
140.
Well, that's an important visit for Brendan Dolan, because Michael Smith is in the ascendancy here.
140.
Wow.
Check that point for magnets. How did that stay on the board? Well, it was 19's first on a big 3 dart out there, Murph, but
59.
he hasn't been able to do a Michael Smith against him.
Yeah, a bit of a rub of the green there for Michael Smith that kept the dart in the red. And now he's up for double top.
52.
I'm sure that was the same shot that Gerwin Price took against him at the World 72, I think it was, if my memory serves me correctly. 86 for Dolan for the lead. It hasn't been the best leg, and he's going to have to find a treble 14. Went for the smallest target on the board, 54. And I don't get that logic. If he'd have hit it, he'd have looked like a genius himself. But as it stands, he is now losing the match 4 legs to 3.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We're just talking about the speed of thought, the willingness to change a plan from Michael Smith, and Brendan Dolan there, who on 82 with 3 darts in hand would quite rightly go for the bullseye, has not thought about that quickly enough
91.
and gone for the smallest target, as you said, when a treble 14 could have left him double top.
Very well said. Earlier on when Dolan was playing Damon Heta had 118
99.
and he blocked the bed with the first dart on the underside of the 60, and he went for the 60 again from the left side of the oche.
100.
Why not use treble 16 for bull? 2 open targets. That's what Michael Smith would have done in that moment, and he would have done it in a heartbeat.
Michael Smith has had some really good performances himself today. In fact, his best performance came against Lisa Ashton. 106.09 the average in a whitewash win for Smith. But it is worth mentioning, for those of you who are joining us this evening, that was a last 16 match. Lisa Ashton winning through to the last 16 for the second time in her PDC career and taking some good scalps along the way.
Yeah, she did quite well, didn't she?
180.
And that 125 with Bull 25 Bull against Adrian Lewis, I think that will get a few glimpses on YouTube.
Yeah, superb. Check out official 100. PDC on Twitter. It's clipped up there. Michael Smith has left the same finish here, but wins for her against Lewis and Aspinall this afternoon. Now it's 82 with 3 darts in hand.
Well, he's got the bullseye this time. And the double 16, so polished. Well, I'm not going to criticise him for what he did in the last leg. We just think he maybe went for the wrong target, probability-wise. But he's come back and shoved it in our face like a big cream pie.
Well, perhaps made a mistake, but very, very quickly made 99. Amends for that mistake. And it is a break back. And it's a break back that puts the match effectively back in his control.
100.
You and I both know what's going to happen here because we were both in Bolton at the first Super Series of 2021. And what were the finals like? They were close and they were very good. This is very good and it's close. So we're going all the way, folks. Don't go anywhere.
They haven't even given us time yet to mention the rather interesting head-to-head record that this pair have. 10 meetings, 5 each, but Brendan Dolan won the first 5, a run that ended in 2014. Michael Smith has won the 5 since.
92.
It does tell a bit of a tale, doesn't it? Because, let's face it, up to 2014, Brendan Dolan was a heavyweight on the floor.
180.
Michael Smith, since then, has been the better player, you could say. Even though Michael Smith won his first ranking title in 2011.
That's nice. That's very nice indeed.
145.
Just seemed to move the ring of the bullseye there. I think he felt it might have been in when it left his hand.
That dart was definitely not in.
26.
I get the feeling that Smith thinks he's going to be behind in the next few seconds now. It will be 9 for double 8. Just about. That's a bad dart. Double 4. He's found his way there eventually. 2 bad darts away from their intended targets. But he gets the requisite points to rediscover the lead at 5 legs to 4.
93.
A huge adjustment there from Brendan Dolan, really, when you consider the margin he missed by switching at that speed that he's now got to be that accurate straight away.
He's had to put hours in to do that.
Yeah, there must be, or you'll know, there must be a seed of doubt when you've missed a double by that margin, particularly then when you can't even try and throw out the same double. 94. If you miss outside by that margin, you can try and kind of work out what you did wrong in terms of weight and line and everything, but going to the other side of the board, that's brilliant from Brendan Dolan.
It really is. Because for 100. Me, he's put in so much work over the last few months to make shots like that a lot easier for himself. And now he's doing it under pressure. That speaks about what kind of work ethic he has and how he's starting to execute these things in matches like this. A match where he is the favourite.
140.
But I have to go back on my point in the last leg. Michael Smith has been winning ranking titles for 10 years now. Yes, he's not a kid anymore.
100.
There have been a couple of lengthy droughts during that decade for Michael Smith. Always seems quite 60. A relieved man when he picks up a title, because I think he believes that he's got all the ability in the world. Just a little grimace there from Mr. Nicholson alongside me. Another bad decision?
Yeah, I think he should have gone bull at 25 to leave the 2-darter.
100.
This way he is on a 3-darter and can only get 1-darter double as opposed to having 2. Give yourself 1 extra chance. And where does he go here?
61.
Well, he didn't get the bullseye. And it has been the tail of the final for me. That bullseye option. As Smith misses a big number and doesn't miss the double. We are level after 10. Somehow we get to 5-5. It's not the usual route for Michael Smith.
Well, you coach darts, Paul, and surely you'll be using this final, particularly if Brendan goes on to lose it, as a lesson for some of the young players that you're passing your wisdom on to.
We watch so much in the way of darts on PDC
46.
TV when we do Super Series and Players' Championships and European Tours, of course. There is a definitive group of players like Michael Smith and younger than him who have a way of counting.
180.
Players older than Michael Smith, they have their own way. And they're not going to be taught. They're not going to change. Look at Steve Beaton. He's not going to change. But you look at the young players coming through like Luke Humphreys, Bradley Brooks, Callan Rids, all these kids, they've got unbelievable counting skills.
96.
And if you don't have those skills as a young player, you're going to be left behind.
Well, Michael Smith has been left behind in this leg.
140.
Dolan has the luxury of choosing any route he wishes on this occasion.
50.
And he just tees up tops.
Yes, that will do. It's all well and good taking it out for a 12. But if you can execute the 13, 14 or 15 darter here
97.
and rediscover the lead after 11 legs, you're still trending in the right direction. Tops. Guide.
Game
Hit.
shot.
Wonderful. 6-5 Dolan. And this one is going very, very long. And we can't take our eyes off it.
140.
Brendan Dolan a couple of legs away from another PDC title. There'll be one of this pair who takes the headlines,
60.
but I think there are a few honourable mentions we need to make before we get to the end of this one. One of them being Alan Suter, who's had a super start to his PDC career.
85.
Another, Dirk van Dijvenbode, who has produced some enormous averages this afternoon before being seen off by Suter.
Yeah, you got to see that Mensa Sulevic, Dirk van Dijvenbode game. I'm jealous. It's not often I say that.
100.
Jealous of another commentator in the match that they had, but I'm sure we can even that out over the next 3 days.
Yeah, the best game I've had the honour
90.
of commentating on for some time, that one. And I've commentated on a few good ones.
Yes, you have.
Do check out the PDC social media. There will be highlights throughout these events posted.
180.
Massive, massive visit from Brendan Dolan in what seemed to be a dead leg. All of a sudden,
90.
he's found his feet again.
Yeah, just a bit. That was a Mervyn King moment there for Michael Smith. He wanted to tell Brendan Dolan to go away. That 180 from 341 was unbelievable.
Well, he couldn't follow it with the history-making
59.
finish. Again, he infuriates Paul Nicholson. The animation from the asset alongside me is something to behold, but Michael
Game
Smith
shot.
cleans up the 90 to tie it up at 6-all. Explain, Paul.
Well, it didn't make any difference. It was the same thing. 161, you got two single 20s. You got 25 in bull to leave the two darter. He goes for the 19s and doesn't get the treble, but it didn't matter in the end because Smith took out the 90. And there's another maximum from Dolan. Best of 3 now for an extra £4,000.
Or 100.
But it's all about the title. It's not about the money. A 34 in the world, Brendan Dolan. He is playing so much better than that.
He certainly
85.
turned up the maximum hitting in this final. Smith had hit more than twice as many over the course of the previous matches today. Dolan
41.
very, very strong on the scoring in this match. Often Michael Smith playing chaser in legs.
You do get the feeling that Michael Smith is working
60.
harder in this game than Brendan Dolan, who looks a bit more at ease with the challenge, but maybe not after that reaction in the
80.
background there from Dolan, which was not seen by Michael Smith. Very, very clever poker player there from Brendan. Doesn't want to show any weakness to his opponent.
Should he win this final, Dolan would nudge himself
60.
up another spot and go back ahead of Luke Humphries, who had that big haul at the UK Open by reaching the final. That pair pushing Ricky Evans in that last spot of the all-important top 32 in the world. Now this is an all-important finish for Brendan Dolan. Will probably feel like he has 6 starts from here, but would much prefer the easier route of taking it in 3.
76.
Didn't want to allow Michael Smith an opportunity at 140.
He shouldn't have given the shot. Oh, but it's missed.
20.
What an effort from Michael Smith. And the heart-in-mouth moment for Brendan Dolan, who was thinking, how am I going to be 7-6 down? But now he's looking at 7-6 up, tops.
Game
Oh,
shot.
it's there. He's got himself to 7 after a little scare, and he is 1 leg away from winning another title.
I just thought, you know, that's why I mentioned it, that 140 out of all the big 3-figure combinations probably is the worst one to leave Michael Smith on, because if he hits the first start in the treble, more often than not he follows it, and then double 10's his favourite double.
That's a very, very good point.
140.
What has Michael Smith got left? He had to work very, very hard to win those 2 Players' Championships at the Winter Series.
57.
Very hard indeed. He's going to have to work excessively hard from here if he wants to snag this one.
Well, it's a strong start. Dolan wants to do the job here.
140.
Back-to-back ton 40s, and Michael Smith has his back against the wall in this final.
138.
Well, he really did try to leave the 170 there. That was creative. He didn't think there was enough room in that 60 for another, which is rare for Michael Smith, because he could fit a dart on the back of a ladybug.
140.
Well, it's Brendan that's bugging him now. A hat-trick of 140s.
96.
Tees up a match-winning shot for Brendan Dolan. A big deep breath, and then he takes aim. It will be 12 for the bullseye. Finds the treble. It's double 13.
55.
And he clips a wire.
Oh, that wire is a little bit thinner now because it's just been shaved. Michael Smith, to stay in the match, has gone for double 16.
78.
I'm surprised he didn't go 10 tops. He decided on a different target, something that he hit earlier. But Dolan at double 13. It's unlucky for some.
Game shot.
And it is
of the match.
Brendan Dolan's day at Super Series 2 as the history maker adds an 8th PDC title to his roll of honour. A wonderful performance, not just in this final, but throughout the course of the day, when Brendan Dolan has produced some of his best stuff ever. He sees off Michael Smith 8-6.